I'm pretty confident in I could say that that is the best first episode of a stab in the dark they've ever done. Welcome to the Insiders Audio Noughts. We're on a roll. I'm back here with Matty Hayes. Post Margot episode, which was honestly one of my favorite ever podcasts that I've done. I Yeah.
Yeah.
got a comment from one of my mates in Oz who said to me it was a super interesting talk and maybe not so funny, more fact driven. Now, I just want to disclose that I was actually a little bit awestruck, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. I got a comment as well. Like they said, it sounds like that could have gone on for a few more hours, and I could definitely vouch that for me and you, we were ready to carry on and on and on and on. But Margot wanted to go surf, and obviously we didn't want to chew the guy's ear off. But it means that we've got space for another one.
we'll have a crack at having another one. I've had a massive week, Matty. Uh, what I wanted to talk about with you, obviously, this episode, and for all our incredible listeners, is the first episode drop of Stab in the Dark, which this one's quite historic. But we'll get to that. It was also a massive week. Personally, I had a surf competition on Saturday. I had a couple of days of surfing, like Thursday, Friday. And on Friday, I got a PB, Matt. And if I came up with a new theory a couple of years ago that when you're older than 50, you're allowed to be proud of yourself. And I think I got personal best on Friday afternoon down on one of the Bass Reefs. Massive bomb. And I was just lit up. I was so excited and everything. And then towards the end of the wave, there was a guy riding my road and he couldn't get out of the road. So I went around him and couldn't get around the whitewash. And then I got lit up again, nearly as bad as in August.
Yeah,
And I remember at one stage under the water just going, is this all it? And then I was like, what are you talking about, you idiot?
yeah,
And and just being able to click in my mind, being annoyed at myself from the fear, it really helped me. And then that same day, or I think it was the next day, I think it was that afternoon. Sorry to be so long-winded, Matt, but this was quite important in my view on life. I went to get some bread from the bakery and I saw this older guy pushing his wheelchair back along. There's a road next to my house that goes to the bakery. He was missing both legs. I'm pretty sure he was in his late 60s, and it was an old school wheelchair, no engine. And mate, I just wanted to stop the car, get out, help him and stuff, but you can't. Like, people have, um, you got to have respect for this, and it just shows how lucky we are, and anyone who can go surfing is
yeah,
lucky. Anyone who
yeah.
can go for a walk is lucky. So there's some legends out there in the world, and I don't count myself anywhere near those guys. It's just incredible, those guys and girls that can just get on with life with physical challenges.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is it is all out there, and but sick that you got a PB and that you've been scoring, and yeah, like the Lenore challenge was on, and you was throwing some bombs, and you got burnt by someone who did apologise, which is fair enough, but was still funny. I had a good one as well actually. This weekend it was pumping here, and I so I got a message from my mate who's a really good surfer. His name's Ryan. He's really really good, like underground guy. Like he's a stonemason or something. I don't think that's the right word.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
works with he builds old school walls basically.
Yeah. It's a stonemason. I thought you were going to say he was a stoner.
No, well he is that as well, but he's very very good, like hell barrel rider and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, we're going to go here in the morning, and it's a spot I haven't really surfed that much." And then we rock up, and then as we're walking down the rocks. Everyone knows I don't like lefts anyway, but this left behind the rock just came in and rolled and just spat its guts out. And he was like, yes. And I was like, no, like kind of like internally. But then I was like, fuck it, like, I was like, is what it is. Like, we're all good, kind of thing. And I had one of those sessions where it wasn't very good, but I got a couple of waves where I was like pushing myself in like it was sizable and really, really shallow. And like I don't like fast, shallow waves going left. And it was like it was that. And like pushed myself and got a couple and was actually like, do you know what? I got more out of that surf than it being an easy surf kind of thing. And then in the afternoon, I went to where I normally surf, like my spot, which I love, and it was like perfection for me. It was like head high, not too fast, long rights, and I was like, this is the perfect day. It was
Sick.
sick.
Well,
But I definitely
it's
think
sick.
being proud of yourself, like I came out of that session and was like, "Do you know what? Fuck yeah!" Like I could have easily have been like, "Oh, this or that or whatever," and actually, like second wave of the session. I went and I got the wave and stuff, and then as I went to like do a turn on the end, I fell and I got bounced off the sand. It was super shallow, and I got bounced off and like got winded where I like hit my back, and I could have been like, oh fuck, that's me done. I'd had a couple of waves and it'd been like maybe like 40 minutes, but I was like, no, like I want more. Like I was like, I'm alive, I've survived, I'm still good. Like let's go again, type thing. So. Um, Yeah, hell yeah for pushing yourself and 100% be proud of yourself, like no matter what. Like,
Well,
um,
obviously the trick is to not be too proud of yourself too often in front of too many people consistently. Huh?
yeah,
Right? Just keep it
Even-
real.
yeah, just don't mention it on a podcast that a few thousand people listen to every week.
There you go. Hey, so World News, World Juniors, which is always interesting. I didn't watch a lot of it. The surf wasn't that great, but it's we're a news channel. Uh, are the Aussies, Matt, are the Aussies back on top on international surfing? Noah Dean, stabbed Surfer of the Year. Huey Vaughan, probably like the most media exploded Grom last year. Um, Dane Henry and Isla Hubbard, correct?
Isla Huppets.
Isla Hubbard wins. And like I heard on um, the Lago podcast, the guys talking about her. I think she's a burly local, and they were calling her the next Molly Picklum. And she beat Sierra Kerr. She's world champ. Dane Henry won the ISAs less than
Yeah,
a few
both.
months ago, didn't he?
Dane Henry, first person to go back to back at the ISAs, and then he's only the fourth person behind Tom Curran, Medina, and someone else to go to win the junior and the men's ISA. And then yeah, he's just um won the WSL World Junior Champs, which means he's automatically on the challengers now.
He's on the challenges, and
It's dangerous.
there's one kid that you're not going to say, oh yeah, but like obviously Jack's now on the tour, but we all knew at the time it was hard for him to get onto the tour with the waves are surfing. Where like I just don't think it
No,
doesn't seem to
Dane's
matter what waves he's going to be on.
100%. And also I like put a like note out there for um what's his name? What's the guy we spoke to Margot about? The guy you sent me. I've forgotten his name. Um
Winter Vincent,
Winter Vincent. So he finished second last year and then he finished third this year. Um and like
consistency.
I felt for him because the day that he lost, like it was 1 foot.
Yeah, it was 1 foot. But as winner Vincent, top 10 challenger current rankings, what do you think is more important for him?
Well, yeah, yeah.
The result there in Philippines or a result in
Pipe.
10 days' time at Pipeline?
Yeah, pipe. To be honest, I was a bit surprised that he was there because he's on the challengers already and he's already doing well. And I was kind of thinking, bro, you should be at pipe right now. Like you should be doing every single second you can out in those in that. Like he's literally now going to go from 1 foot Philippines to pipe.
Yeah,
So
but that's a juniors. That was
it was his last
his
shot at it as
age
well.
group. His
Yeah,
shot. He didn't win last year. If he won, it could have given him a huge confidence boost coming into to the end of the season.
and he's still got 10 days. He's still got 10 days to go to pipe now and get himself to Hawaii and get himself like, I'm sure he surfed it before and stuff like that. But yeah, and obviously you said about the Aussies being back on top. Well, especially at that age range, yeah, because you have got Huey, you've got Lungy Slab, who's amazing. You've got Dane, Winter Vincent, Lennox Smith. That's 1, 2, 3 on that juniors, and then in the female you had Isla Huppets, Sierra Kerr won the last one, and obviously then runner up in this one. Um, and you've also got like you go back a stage, and there was more like
And
more
you go forward a stage. We got the
yeah.
women's world champ. We got the two of the most stylish, revered surfers in the world with Jack and Ethan. I mean, it
Yeah,
feels weird considering it's Brazil that's owned this title over the last 10 years, but they've only owned it on the men's side. They haven't owned it on the
yeah.
women's side. And America's been like trying to push there, but them as well. They're not coming at it from both ends. They've been really strong on the. Oh, they've been really well. Katie won,
Yeah.
but they can't seem to get a men's guy unless you count John, which in surfing it
Does count.
seems, and it counts as a Y. You can see it even
Yeah, that
like
definitely doesn't count.
when they're on tour until they get to the Olympics, which brings us to what we wanted to talk about. I think it's worth us doing a full review on every one of these episodes, Matt. Would you not
100%.
think?
Absolutely.
The
Well,
five biggest global brands in the world for shortboards, and the 11 times world champ, renowned surfboard designer, user, abuser.
I would say the 6 biggest surfboard brands in the world.
Yeah, because we call him man with firewire.
Yeah, I'm saying Dan Mann's. I'm putting that into Firewire. Um,
Okay. Well,
well,
I'll kick off with that little story that I wrote you, and then I'll let you take the reins. Like, because I did meet. I'm not going to be a name dropper, but it's just dead set truth. I did meet Kelly when he was at his, let's say, his second peak. His first peak, he won 6 world titles, and then he retired in '98. I think that was the year that I moved to France, and then he'd come back, and I think he'd won 1 or 2 titles when he'd come back, and I got the job at Euroglass, and Belly was actually his manager, and Christian was shaping for Channel Islands, and we had the European Channel Islands license, so we were really not necessarily me, but why not say we really involved in that. And I think on like my third week of work, I came in and I went up into the stock room, and there was like these 8 boards, and straight away I thought that's Kelly. It was like, because they had a big K logo. He used to have his own logo. There was a Channel Islands logo, and then there was a K logo. So he would have a K model. He had 3 models, I think: K grovel, K step, and then normal K board. And then he had his own special K that was for his boards. And I was like saying to Christian, how come he doesn't have these? Because I think the French comp had already been run. And he's like, no, they were too heavy. And I was like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" I picked one up, like it was dead set. Yeah, obviously very light. And I was just sitting there thinking, am I tripping? But like at this stage, if you're a surfer, anything that was related to Kelly, you would just like take it as his truth, because he was beyond untouchable. Can you imagine? That was
yeah.
like what. So if that was 2007, he would have been 35, 36, uh, 7 or 8 world titles, relatively young, even though at the time people thought he was older. And I don't think anyone had ever seen or done anything like that. So like he didn't even take these boards because they were too heavy.
Yeah,
Didn't even surf one.
no, that's just wild. Because like part of you wants to say, well, it's weird because he could have taken it and absolutely loved it. But then at the same time, exactly like what you said is you just sit back and go, well, who am I to question Kelly? So
And let's be honest, in his mind, and most probably it was the truth, he just didn't have the time to waste.
yeah, and probably in terms of a factory side of things, you probably look at it and go, well, sweet, we've got 8 boards that were made for Kelly. We
Yeah.
can tell people they were made for Kelly. Let's just sell them.
Yeah, yeah, and it was the truth, and that's exactly what happened. And I found a few buyers left, right, and center. And honestly, we were selling them cheap at the time. We shouldn't have. We should have just held on to them. But at the time, we needed money. Like
Yeah,
it was a really hard period for us in surfboard production. And we can talk about that in a couple of later episodes, or maybe towards the end of this episode. So you watched the first episode. What were
yeah.
your thoughts, Matt? Go for it.
So I watched. So I don't know if people know this, but I messaged you about it. But about 2 months ago, Stab secretly put a teaser clip up. It was 15 minutes and it was of Kelly surfing the boards. He surfs a couple of boards and him actually getting his hands on the boards. Um, and it showed a little bit of the shapers getting together. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be like, this is going to be good. Um, I did not expect episode one to be as it was in terms of the format of it and how good it was. That was as good as like I love the How Surfers Get Paid series, and it felt like one of those, but wrapped into a stab in the dark. And then the last 5 minutes having Kelly surfing, like no surfing at all for 33 minutes, and then Kelly surfs for 5 minutes at the end. I am hooked. I cannot wait for the next one to come out already. But I'm pretty confident and I could say that that is the best first episode of a stab in the dark they've ever done.
Well, it was really interesting to have that interaction, which you would say doesn't happen a lot. You'd say there's a lot of respect between those guys, but there's also a lot of I wouldn't necessarily say jealousy, but there's a word somewhere between um,
Envy and or
envy, jealousy, distaste, because
yeah.
they're dead set competitors,
Well,
and to
you know
get
when they're on their own, they would look at a clip of one of the competitors shaping a board, and they'll be like, "Ah, that looks fucking shit. The fins are all out, blah blah blah." And then like you put them in a room together, and they kind of still done it, which was quite funny.
who came across to you as to steal a phrase from Darren Hanley? Who comes across the person that you were preferred to the most to sit down and have lunch with?
John Pyzel.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I met
Yeah,
him on the bike path a few years ago.
I
And he was just seemed pretty cool.
yeah, I got really lucky to do a video call with him when I was at Board Shop, which is on YouTube, and chat to him about um loads of stuff for an hour, and he was amazing to talk to as well. He also seems like when you get a bit of a drink in him, he is funny as well, and he's a little bit more like ballsy. But he's the type of guy who would call you a dickhead, but while laughing, and you would just end up laughing with him, rather than like, for example, Britt Merrick, who I think maybe taking Matt Biolis's title is the biggest knob out of that lot.
Well, we'll never get him on the show, but we don't want him on the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, if
If
he
we
acts
can't
like
call
that,
it if we can't call a spade a spade.
yeah, like he's just a bit like. Like the bit for me for him was like if he's that concerned about Firewire being in it, like in my opinion, it's like you should have, if you really trust and favor your board and stuff, then he never had a problem entering it when Mick was surfing and he knew DH was in it, and he never had a problem entering it when he was doing it for Jack Robinson and he knew that like Takoro and people were going to be in it, and didn't have a problem shaping them for other stab in the darks where, you know, other people had their model. So like kind of chill out. But yeah, Pyzel 100% would go to lunch and dinner with him.
TH is a classic. He's funny. So I know,
Yeah.
I know. I've met four of those six shapers. TH lots of times. He used to shape and sponsor for three or four of my really good mates, and we actually distributed his boards at first. And he's a long time best mate of Belly, so we would have seen him in the factory a lot of time. He's that classic Australian. He's exactly what you see there. Um,
Yeah.
I would I wouldn't say arrogant, but I would say arrogant. And Marcio,
Marcio Zuvi, yeah.
yeah, we started doing his boards at Euroglass just before I left, and I actually was the one who pushed for us to get him. And we went and had lunch a couple of times when he was here. Super nice guy. Like,
Yeah.
it was hard to even know that he was like Brazilian because he's American's slang and accent is that perfect because he's lived in America so many years. Really, really American in one respect, where he was often talking about making bank,
Yeah.
coin, making good money, very, very success focused. And I met Matt Bialis a couple of times too, really at the start, because we were also doing a little bit of distribution for him. And exactly the same, exactly what you see.
Yeah.
Super, super intense sort of dude, and he is what
He
he is.
he once called he came to board shop once, and he called where board shop is the armpit of the earth. Which is a bit of a weird thing to say to the people that live there. Um, yeah, I did think it was funny though. His board got written off with the finishing. You know, they were like,
Yeah.
"Did you pay your
Yep.
sander in weed and the big laps?" They were kind of pretty harsh on his board, and it made me think like, surely, surely he would have quality controlled that board, but it seems like he kind of didn't. Like,
I'm wondering, I felt for the poor Sander. Has
yeah,
he done a shit job? Has he got the sack since? Did he go back and
maybe.
just sack him?
But also, like you'd think if you're putting a board under Kelly's arms, like or in Kelly's hands, he's going to pick up on bad sanding. He's going to pick up on like big
Yeah, but
laps.
what if it was the one that felt the best under the arm mat? I've seen a million of those boards at a time, and it's not necessarily because you don't see cloth or anything like that. They didn't protect over it, or all different sorts of things. So,
Yeah,
Christian didn't care one bit about if you had to, like having a bit of cloth at certain places if you want to get a certain level of lightness.
yeah,
And Kelly is a lightness freak.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he still would be.
yeah, for sure. So it was really interesting the way that they did write that board off though, and like yeah, like in a quite funny way. Um,
What was who shaped the swallowtail?
Marcio, Zubi, Sharp Eye.
That looks sick because I love swallowtails.
Yeah, I thought I quite like the DH with because you could quite clearly see the wing like and the hip that he put in it. Um, you can't help but like I wonder. DH spoke quite a bit about how he was asking Mick quite a lot about Kelly's boards and stuff. Pyzel didn't say it, but I wonder if he tapped into John a bit, and also I wonder if Pyzel has a work like not a working relationship, but has had a kind of relationship with Kelly at all, like based on the fact that he lives next to John and obviously they're so close and stuff. If you had to pick one now, like just obviously it was a random you've only seen him surfed for 2 minutes per board or less than that per board and stuff. What one would you say just off of like the shaping and stuff would you pick that's gonna win?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I wouldn't have a clue, but I thought the sharp eye looked really good. I think also the the Biolas one looked good.
Under his feet, the lost look really good under his feet for those like
The
little
Pyzel didn't look as good. I'm not saying it looked bad, but I think what they said maybe rang true because like Pyzel rightly stated that he pretty sure that Kelly was going to surf
Really
really
good
good
waves.
waves. But the first set, the first wave he saw on the Pyzel was like 3 foot snapper, which is a good wave, but
It's not Hawaiian good.
it's not 4 to 6 foot, even South Stratty or
Yeah.
4 to 6 foot Kira, which I think they're gonna have in the thing
Yeah.
because he was there during those swells and I don't know if he was testing.
Yeah, he was that in that little clip they put out. He surfed with um Mikey Febb on that day because you know when they'd done the electric
Yeah,
acid and they had the day with Mikey Febb when he was on the when Mikey Febb was on the Pyzel.
yeah.
Um, they were out filming at the same time with Kelly there, definitely. So they definitely get some good waves for sure.
Well, they're not going to
Yeah,
give us the best waves straight up front, and if they're smart producers, they'll have thrown a few curveballs in there, and maybe, for example, given the worst. Um, like if I was a really smart, which I'm not, director, I'd put in a really bad wave of the Pyzel straight away because you heard the other people already saying something bad about the Pyzel, so then people just think, oh, the Pyzel shit, and then all of a sudden, the next episode actually go the
I
reverse and throw one of the best waves in.
I agree, and I think the same with Lost. If you think about they pretty much wrote off Lost in the conversation, and then the best surfing in that short little part of the video was on the lot. He done that massive air, which really surprised me. How clean he greased that thing, and yeah, he surfed the best on the Lost board in that short period, which
And
made me think: have they are they trying to throw in like a little red herring or not? But I did want to just say as well though. Kelly surfing is unbelievable. Like, I actually was watching it. No, but still nobody. Not like Ethan doesn't even do this. Where frontside, Kelly's board is at 12 o'clock as he snaps it. Like he comes off the bottom and goes so vertical. When you watch like John and Ethan, they're carving with heaps of power. Like they're burying so much of their board and stuff, but they're not banging to. It's like you see
yeah, they
people.
are. It's just maybe you're not seeing it so much, and it's also different eras. He was from
Yeah,
the vertical re-entry era.
that's what I mean is he does it. He surfs frontside like people now surf backside. Like backside, you see people just go bang and then straight back down. He does it frontside. And I'm not saying it's better than John or Ethan. I actually prefer the John and Ethan turns, but he's still got that really standout, like literally like board pointing bang straight up before he snaps it back down frontside. Um, and like I say, like the air, I did not expect him to land a big air like that.
Would you dare to agree with me that maybe there's some sort of friction or has been friction in the past between him and Biolas, where Biolas says he thinks that Kelly's not going to want him to win?
Sounds like it. Yeah. I
Sounds like it,
mean,
eh? I mean, it's obviously different
well, I think
companies
he,
because Kelly came
yeah.
up with his own surfboard brand and all that sort of stuff, which I'm sure then causes
Well,
like
also there's the,
none of those guys liked it. And Bowles was huge into American made
yeah.
and
And also
and
there's the
flow
Andy
designs
Irons.
was
There's the Andy Irons history. Obviously, Bios used to make boards for Andy
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. And then you've also got the back to your story. Imagine if if there was an event at Trestles and Kelly rang Bios and was like, "Oh, I want some boards," and then he rocked up and went, "Oh, they're all too heavy," and walked back out. Like if like Christian Bradley takes it on the chin, right? He's that's the way it is. He's like, isn't the end of the world? We'll sell him. But someone with the attitude of Matt Violas might be like, you fucking dick, we worked hard on these boards and you've just left them, blah blah blah. And then there's bad blood as well. But I think it's more probably to do with the Andy thing. Like he probably still thinks that Kelly is, like there's a Kelly versus Andy type thing or whatever. Who knows? But
I would have thought it was more about but it couldn't be offshore production because
yeah,
Lost and Mayhem do plenty of offshore production as well.
exactly. So he can't exactly get on his high horse for that. But and it could just be like a one of those safety nets. Like, oh, if he writes my board off, I was always going to because Kelly doesn't like me. Like,
Mm. Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah,
put
yeah,
the
yeah.
put the safety
Security,
net.
security blanket.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I kind of found Dan the Man as the sleeper cool dude of the gang. Fuck, he was cool.
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's kind of like you watch this thing and then you like he says like he lives in Costa Rica most of the time. And I'm like, well, no wonder he's sat there smiling. He hasn't got any problems and he hasn't got any issues. He's got surfboards being made around the world with his name on. He gets to shape for Kelly and he lives in Costa Rica. Like,
And he doesn't seem to have an obvious ego problem.
and the biggest part is he doesn't go backside. He literally goes front side both ways.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, he like doesn't go. He surfs switch.
He's an
Um,
ambidextra.
yeah, he doesn't go backside. And I think all of my problems, not that I have many, but all of my problems would be solved if I never had to go backside ever again.
Hey, so also that brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up because I listen to Stab podcast where they're talking about this and Mikey, whatever his name, shits me so much so often. But I sort of bring it up. It's just because they're in I probably shit him, but they're in this different world of where performance shortboards and the brands they push, it's all about that. And it's how come young guys, there's not really young guy shortboard shapers coming up now. Well, it's if it's not the most obvious thing in the world, that the fact that one, the actual surfers on the world tour are all like, let's say not loyal because in their opinion they're not getting paid to ride someone's surfboards. How would a young shaper be able to give 50 to 100 boards a year to a guy on tour?
Yeah.
uh, how could they finance that when basically they're probably like just breaking even as it is? It's impossible unless you're one of the multinationals. And that's where our sport went. Because before they used to travel the world, these guys, and when they'd come to Euroglass or they'd go to other places, they'd always get a couple of boards where they went. But as one, the level of surfing kind of got better, got more refined, the margin for error got lower, shaping machines, the thing went global, and they're the only twos that can afford to give these guys the boards. So as
Yeah.
great as they think they are, that's the other point. You know, they're there obviously because they're at the top. It's like a billionaire that thinks they're the greatest, they're the richest, and anyone else who's not a billionaire is lazy. Well, it's kind of a similar thing in that surfboard world.
Yeah. I mean, and even things like so when you're saying that, it triggered me like to think like when Callum Robson first got on tour, he was sponsored by Sparrow. It was like
Yeah,
S
yeah, Sparrow.
yeah. Anyway, and then he had a really, really good first year, and then suddenly year two he's on DH. He was on DHs, and he wasn't surfing as good. Like, and it might not have been. There's a whole multitude of things that could have equated to it and stuff. But the boards that got him to the tour and the boards that done well in his first year, then he fell off. And he did fall off quite quickly, Callum Robson, and he's not come back yet. And part of me is like, well, maybe if he'd just stuck with the boards that he knows inside out, he would have been all right. Like, and but then part of me thinks, well, what about if he was saying, oh, okay, well, Sparrow, look, I need 10 boards every stop I go to on tour.
He wouldn't have been going that much. But even if he needed 30 boards a year, and for the both of them, one, Sparrow might not have been able to like afford that. And two, then Callum might not be able to afford the 12 grand, even if the guy's going, okay, I'll do them for you at $400. And
Yeah,
every second board you got to give back to me. They got to look out for themselves because it's a marginal sport with marginal profits, unless
yeah.
you're the big boys. And even the big boys are running on marginals.
And even like, and you think about like you think about Katie Simmers, how good she is. She's a well type like compared to say Katie Simmers compared to Callum Robson, she's in a whole different league in terms of achievements, right? She's stab high, she's on all of the stab projects, like and world champ, surf's amazing. But you haven't seen an influx of Chris Borst boards everywhere, but she's not left Chris Borst. She's stuck there.
Yeah,
And
but don't forget the fact that Katie's got an extremely lucrative sponsorship background with O'Neill and Red Bull,
yeah,
which allows her to say, "I'm going to stick with his boards," and if she has to, she'll even support him. Uh,
yeah.
and
Well,
and
it's
the
the same
same
as
for him.
Pyzel.
So, exactly, same as Pyzel, where John never left, where a lot of times he probably could have.
Exactly. And that's the point is like sometimes like Callum Robson, as great as he would be to stay with Sparrow, he was never actually going to be beneficial to Sparrow anyway, because he's not someone that you look at and go, right, fuck, I want the model he's surfing and stuff, versus John is. And I mean I think Katie is, and I think Chris Boards looks incredible. But
Yeah, because Katie's iconic.
yeah,
There's not many people that transcend it. And we talked about her before already about, on this. Like she's more got more chances to on a surfboard than Molly, for example.
yeah, exactly. So
Even though they've both got one world title.
it is all about that as well. But yeah, like it's a difficult market and it's a difficult industry, but I'm excited to see the rest of this Kelly series. I think it's going to be incredible. Excited to see more of his surfing. There is a chance that this goes downhill though, because I want the series to be about the surfboards. That to me is what this series is about, and then enjoy Kelly surfing. But I want Kelly to talk about the surfboards. There is a chance that Kelly talks about Kelly, and if it's too much of that, I think I'm going to be a little bit like, this is a bit weird.
Well, we will see. We will see. It's next week. I can't wait to see it as well. I want to see the same thing. I just want to see him surfing the boards. As much as everything I love in surfing and politics and reading magazines and everything, there's nothing I love more than actually just watching surfing and surfing myself.
Yeah.
So um, I'm about to go surfing too, Matty. I hang up here. I'm packing the car and I'm off to. I hope it's perfect. But it's looking as good a forecast as we've had all year. And then we're about to hit like a 12-day onshore raining storm, that beautiful classic get wetter than wet feel.
Yeah, we've got that. It's hit us today. We had the Northern Lights last night. It was unbelievable. But yes, it's onshore today. It's about 15 foot, but like about 4 second intervals, so it's not doable. But we had a good run. We've had a really good run, had a really good weekend, and got waves on the way. So there we are. And
All right, I'm going to count down to five, and you've got to pick. You got to pick a winner for the, and we're going to do this at the end of every one of our reviews based on what we've seen first. Five, four, three, two, one.
DH.
Violas.
Nice. Let's
But
see.
next week we'll pick our next winners. But this is for you, the listeners, as well. Have a pick of a winner yourself, if you can. When we post this, comment in our Instagram and tell us who you think you're going to win. If you're watching it, if you're not watching it, don't worry. There's plenty of other stuff going on in this world, and we've got an amazing guest coming on later this week, Tom Murat. So that's going to be sick.
Can't wait.
All right, Matty. Thanks a lot. Au revoir.
Enjoy your surf. Au revoir.